Veteran late model stock car driver and now NASCAR Cup Series driver Josh Berry recently explained where he kind of let the race get away from him in a post-race interview for the South Carolina 400. Berry was racing for Kevin Harvick and was teaming up with his NASCAR Cup Series crew chief Rodney Childers in the race. He was the dominant car for the first segment of the race, but would soon find himself a little bit behind the eight ball coming out of the second segment and would eventually end up finishing fourth behind Kade Brown, Kaden Honeycutt, and Carson Quaffle. But let's first, before we get to what Josh Berry had to say here, if you like what we do here at the channel, I please ask you to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell for notifications. And before we get to what Josh Berry had to say, we have this tweet here from Rodney Childers with this post on X. He said, another fun weekend with Josh Berry. We had such a hot rod in qualifying, and those first 100 laps of the race, it just never was the same after we put the second set of tires on. Still had a lot of fun, and great to be short track racing with some of the best in the world. And so now let's listen to what Josh Berry had to say about where he thought the South Carolina 400 got away from him. Let's take a listen.
We were really, really good. Yeah. I was really happy with it. We didn't really change anything at halfway, and just got much tighter. Lost a lot of return. Obviously, being a longer run, I was a little bit worried, a little bit more worried about the tires, but mainly just got tight. And at the end, we were all slipping and sliding when the grid started moving around, and we could just never get our track position back. I thought we were in a good spot actually on that last restart, being fourth, but then the 10-car bonsai to 23, and then that checked me up, and I got hit or sideways and kind of lost a little bit of momentum there. But man, it was a lot of fun. This track race is so good. It was a ball. We had a really good car. We just needed to be perfect there at the end, and we were a little bit worse. So all in all, a lot of fun. Just really want to thank Kevin and Delana for having me, Rodney, and all these guys for all their hard work. Right, it's a long day, long race, way too long. We got to fix that. Big problems there, but I'm sure they'll look at it and be better for next year.
So that is what Josh Berry had to say about where he thought the race got away from him. Coming into the stage break, he was the dominant car. I think he led most of the laps, the first 100 laps. They decided to bring them down into pit road 25 laps early because they had so many cautions towards the end of that 100-lap segment, so they would have fuel and they wouldn't have people running out of gas. So then the second segment was actually 150 laps, so it was a little bit longer on the abrasive Florence Motor Speedway surface. And then we have this here where he does get passed coming out of that first and only stage break. He gets passed by Kaden Honeycutt with like 5 laps into the stage. Let's take a look at it right here. You can see Honeycutt is right here in this black and yellow number 10 car, and Berry is right in front of him in the white 62. Let's take a look. See Honeycutt's right on his bumper there. He's following him down the backstretch. It's just still kind of following him, sizing him up, seeing what he's going to do, whether Josh is going to give him the high side or the low side. Still following him down pretty close into turn 1 and 2, and then just drives right past him here down the backstretch, going into 3 and 4, and takes the lead. And Berry would never see the lead again the rest of the night. He would also then kind of get shuffled back a little bit here 5 laps later. You can see here Kade Brown would make his move to the front. Let's take a look at this. You can see there Berry right behind Honeycutt, Kade Brown on the outside in the 23, that white number 23, kind of motors on by. Matt Cox is right there behind Kade Brown and would follow suit. And Berry would get shuffled back to 5th or 6th and kind of ride around for most of the second segment in 5th or 6th, right around there, trying to conserve his tires. And then at the end of the race, we can take a look at it right here. This is the final restart of the race. Doug Barnes Jr. caused the caution with about 6 laps to go. Not sure what really happened to him. His car started kind of a fire, and he was off into the turn 1 in the woods. Not really sure what happened there. Rough night for Doug Barnes. But anyways, after they restarted, came to the green, you can see Honeycutt down low. Kade Brown was the leader. He chose the outside lane. That was the preferred lane during the closing segments of the race. Berry was up there right behind Kade in fourth, and Carson Quaffle was there on the low end, but the leader was able to choose which lane he wanted, but the rest of the cars were not. They didn't have the choose cone, which I was a little bit disappointed by. I really like the choose cone, especially in late model stock, especially on a race like this where you have like the different grooves and different cars being better on either on the high end or the low end, depending on how they were set up. But let's take a look at this final restart here and see what Josh Berry was talking about. There you go. You see Honeycutt drives it in really hard, runs Kade Brown up the track there a little bit. That forces Berry to check up, Kade Brown to check up, allows Quaffle to get up in front of him, allows Brendan Butterbean Queen to dive in underneath of him. I'm not sure who. I think that's Landon S. Huffman going 3 wide there with Berry, and he kind of gets shuffled back to 5th or 6th. And he would eventually be able to get around Butterbean Queen, again, 6 laps to go, and would go door to door with Quaffle, racing for that 4th position at the end. I think Quaffle would edge him out at the line, and Josh Berry would end up coming home in 4th. Whereas you can see Kade Brown just kind of is motoring past everyone. Clearly the superior car. No one really had anything for him at the later stages, especially once he was able to take command of the lead. Carson Quaffle, like I said, was able to give him a little bit of a run for his money when he was able to kind of start on the outside and kind of pin Kade Brown down and keep that dominant preferred line. But once Kade Brown was able to get around him, he just never looked back and took home the win. But that's what happened with Josh Berry. Let me know what you think about his explanation. Do you think that maybe he should have not ceded to allowing the track position to be given up when Kaden Honeycutt took it from him and then Kade Brown kind of went to the front? Do you think that maybe he should have pressed the issue a little bit earlier? Or do you think that he played his cards perfectly and he just didn't have the best car and Kade Brown was going to win really no matter what happened, what anyone else did, because his car was just so much better than everyone else? But let me know what you guys think in the comments below.